Good morning, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. This is a Friday, so I suppose this is a Friday Reads. Yeah, it is 11:33 in the morning here in West Michigan. It is a Friday. It is July the 24th, 2020. And I've been writing in my diary this morning. It's my second page already, and I'm just about put it in my July 2020 folder. So the month is going by. I think this is the last Friday of the month. I'm not really sure. I can't remember now. It could be. I think this is the last Friday. So I've been writing in my diary, paper diary. I have 4 online diaries. The one I mentioned most here in YouTube, BookTube, is my diary Crooked Fingers, which I started back in March of 2001. Yeah, I love to write. I love to read. I love books. Always been that way since I was a boy. I've always been a bookworm, always loved books. Always been kind of a loner, kind of melancholy. I see myself as a stranger in a foreign land and an exile, nonconformist, an outsider, a contemplative Christian in the evangelical, conservative, reformed, bohemian, middle-class, Christian kind of world. Those are all just kind of general descriptions of who I am. I think all of us are just mysteries. And because as we grow older, as we go through these different stages of life, we have different perceptions of who we are, and we're always growing and changing. At least, hopefully, we're not decaying, we're becoming stagnated, or becoming just ordinary. We're all mysterious. We're all creatures made in the image of God. So this is a Friday Reads. I just thought I would show you my Samuel Johnson collection because I've been really getting into Samuel Johnson the last couple of days. I had several years ago I read this biography of Samuel Johnson by W. Jackson Bates. This came out in 1975. I had this in paperback for years, and I read it and I really enjoyed it, and then I found at some used book sale or thrift store a hardback, and so I bought this. I was looking at this yesterday, and then I had for years this modern library edition of The Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell. But one thing about this one, it didn't have notes, or it just was missing certain things, and so I got this one in the mail the other day, and I've been reading it the last couple of days. Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell. This is new unabridged edition, and it is edited by David Wormsley, and in this edition there is index of works and literary characters, index of subjects, really extensive notes. It's really a nice edition, so I've been reading this. I had also The Life of Samuel Johnson, the Abridged edition that I have read off and on. I also, you have James Boswell, who wrote The Life of Samuel Johnson. I have Boswell's London Journals, 1763 to 17, there's this, the private papers of James Boswell, 1762 to 1763. Boswell's London Journal. And then I also have Boswell in Holland, 1763 to 1764. So I was reading. I've read those over the years. I've had them for a long time. I also have been reading The Club, Johnson, Boswell, and the Friends Who Shaped an Age by Leo Damrosch. I was reading this. I'm almost done with this. And then I've been reading along with The Life of Samuel Johnson, Boswell's Presumptuous Task, The Making of the Life of Dr. Johnson by Adam Sisman. And I've been reading the Selected Writings of Samuel Johnson in these two editions, the Selected Writings. So I'm kind of immersing myself in Samuel Johnson. I have ordered 3 used books coming in the mail on Samuel Johnson and The Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell. Also, I got a book on Samuel Johnson and as a writer, and then I bought a book on how this was constructed, designing the life of Samuel Johnson, how Boswell went about constructing and putting together this massive biography in Samuel Johnson. So I got that coming in the mail. I also have this little old book I got at some thrift store or used book sale, Essay on Samuel Johnson by Macaulay. See, there's a picture of Samuel Johnson. See. This was a textbook for a high school. It was published in 1926 to help high school teachers teach Samuel Johnson, the life of Samuel Johnson, his writings. It has like it has a little brief essay on the life of Samuel Johnson. See, so it's just a little book that teachers were supposed to use as they were teaching. See, subjects for oral and written composition, short talks or themes based upon Macaulay's essay. You could write an essay on Johnson's boyhood and youth. You could write about Johnson's early struggles in London. You could write an essay in your high school class in 1926 discussing the poem by Samuel Johnson, London. You could write an essay on Samuel Johnson's Life of Savage, which I have been reading about in this book by Richard Holmes, Dr. Johnson and Mr. Savage. Or you could write an essay on Johnson's dictionary if you were in high school in 1926. Johnson as a talker, Johnson, the literary club, name members of the literary club. You can write an essay on James Boswell. You could write an essay, Johnson and his critics. Samuel Johnson wrote a book called Lives of the Poet. You could write an essay about that. You could write an essay, Johnson's Last Years and Death. Just goes on and on. These are all subjects that teachers would give high school students in 1926 on essay topics on the life of Samuel Johnson. How you think that's done today in high school? Maybe in college or a university. I don't know. So yeah, that's why my Friday reads. I've been all day. I read this all day yesterday. I plan to read it all day today. I've read the life of Samuel Johnson. So, but it's just, but I've never read this complete text. So that's what my goal is for Friday. And I take breaks and I read this, Boswell's Presumptuous Task, and I do read Richard Holmes' Dr. Johnson and Mr. Savage, and I do read The Club by by Leo Damrush, The Club, Johnson, Boswell, and the Friends Who Shaped an Age. This morning I've been reading Johnson's poem that he wrote in his early writing career. He wrote a poem called The Vanity of Human Desires. So I've been reading that this morning. So that's my Friday reads. I got used books coming in the mail. They're all on Samuel Johnson. I don't plan to go anywhere today. I've been just sitting here in the dining room, writing in my diary, reading my books. My wife has been running around doing all kinds of things. She has friends and she's just always running around. So when she's gone, I just sit here in the dining room and write in my diary and read The Life of Samuel Johnson. You know, one thing about The Life of Samuel Johnson by James Boswell, I think that if a Christian, a really devout Christian, would have a different, there'd be a different biography in Samuel Johnson. I think a Christian could write a better biography in Samuel Johnson than somebody who is not a Christian. I think some of what I've read about Samuel Johnson could only be understood from a Christian perspective. Now, he professed to be a Christian, but James Boswell was not a Christian. He might have some superficial kind of religion, but he wasn't a devout, God-fearing Christian. He was very immoral. He committed adultery. He just did all kinds of horrible and wicked things. But I don't know anybody who ever a devout Christian. I think if he wrote The Life of Samuel Johnson, it would be different. From little that I've come across in his life, I think there would be a different perspective on how he lived his life. So that's just my random thoughts. So that's my Friday reads. I thank you for the new subscribers. I thank you for the notes, the comments, I mean. Yeah, you know, in my videos, you know, I cover all kinds of things. I mean, I was thinking about that this morning I've been making videos for 3 or 4 years, and I've covered a multiplicity of topics, and I've shown all kinds of books. So I do kind of look at my videos as being educational, not only from a secular point of view, but from a Christian perspective, a Christian world and life view. But I've talked about everything under the sun. I mean, the Church Fathers, the Beatniks, Bloomsbury, Virginia Woolf, Saul Bellow, Updike, William Burroughs, Thoreau, the Transcendentalists, Ralph Emerson, early colonial American history, the Civil War, modernism, postmodernism. I've talked about poetry. I've talked about existentialism. I've talked about Nietzsche. I've talked about Sartre. I've talked about pop art, Andy Warhol, abstract movement, painters movement in New York, the New York poets, the New York intellectuals, the Paris Review. I've talked about Gord Vidal. I've talked about war and peace, death, love, sex. I've talked about family. I've talked about politics. I've talked about, it just goes on and on, all the things that I've talked about. Christian mysticism, church history, Pauline theology, Old Testament theology, New Testament theology, biblical hermeneutics, preaching, Southern Presbyterianism, the Reconstruction, the Gilded Age, Theodore Roosevelt, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Nixon, Reagan, Obama, Trump. I just gone on and on, all the things that I've covered in all these videos over the last 3 or 4 years. Now I'm talking about Samuel Johnson and talking about the Puritans, Thomas Goodwin, John Owen, Isaac Ambrose, and talking about writers D.C. Boyle and Joyce Carol Oates. And it just amazes me when I look through all the videos I've made and all the things that I've talked about and I've shared in these videos. And so I do kind of see myself as a teacher, but more as to provoke people to thinking and to examining and to be curious and to go out there and explore in the world of literature and ideas. So I just was thinking about that this morning, so I just thought I'd share those thoughts with you. So I hope you have a good reading weekend. I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for the comments. And until next time, bye.